Okay, so just a little how to get started in Adobe Photoshop. So we're gonna just type in our search bar, PHOTO, and Adobe Photoshop should open up. Okay, and then when it opens up, yours might look a little different. You might automatically be on this little learn thing where there's lots of tutorials, and these are great to learn how to use. So we'll, look in those later. But for now, we're just going to create a new file. So you're going to click on this blue button that says New File. And Photoshop, there's always like 2 or 3 ways to do everything, the same thing. So you can also go up to the menu that says File, New. And you can also use a shortcut, which is Control N, or you can push this blue button. So there's 3 different ways to do the same thing. I'm gonna click this blue button that says New File. All right, so we're gonna just start off with a 8 by 10. Actually, we'll use a piece of paper for this first project. So I'm gonna go here up at the top. There's all these different kind of default documents. So I'm gonna look for the one. Yours, I don't know if it will say recent because you probably haven't made anything yet, but I have recent saved photo. I'm gonna click on photo, and that's gonna give me documents that are like standard photo sizes. Okay, so I have a 5 by 7, a 3 by 2, a 6 by 4, a 7 by 5. Okay, if I click view all presets, there's even more. So 8 by 10 is a size that we're gonna use pretty frequently, 8 by 10. Okay, but for today, we're just gonna go over the one that says print. So there's another category that says print. And I'm gonna go to the one that just says letter. And that's like a standard piece of paper. And if I click on it, it says 8.5 by 11. So right now I'm clicked on an 8.5 by 14. I wanna click on the 8.5 by 11. All right, and then over here, there's some settings to look at as well. So if you click the default one, it should already have all the settings we want. But I'm going to go ahead and double check them over here in the dialog box here on the right. So it says it's telling me that it's 8.5 by 11. If I wanted a horizontal piece of paper, I would click the little rectangle with the person in it, and I could change it from horizontal to vertical. Okay, I can also, there's different color modes. We're going to keep it in RGB. That's the color workspace we're going to be working in. Background, if for some reason I wanted like a black piece of paper, I would choose a drop down to black here. If I wanted a transparent piece of paper, same thing here. But we're just gonna stick with white, standard. I just want you to see where some things are. And then the most important thing is right under where it says preset details, it says untitled 1. Let's go ahead and just right off the bat, give our document a name. So we're gonna call this, okay, so I'm checking the agenda. We're gonna call it 10 things sampler. So for my document, instead of untitled 1, I'm gonna write 10 things sampler, and then you're gonna put your name, and then we'll hit create. All right, so we've added our name and we're pushing create, the little blue button at the bottom that says create. And when I do that, there we go. I now have a piece of paper. So we're gonna make sure that our workspace, so over here on the right and on the left, there's tools here on the left. I've got some menus up here, and I've got some other stuff going on here. So this is called our workspace, and there's all different sorts of workspace that we can be in, but I wanna make sure that we're all in the same workspace. You've got this color thing here, properties, adjustment, libraries, and then down here at the bottom it should say layers, channels, paths. All right, so again, that workspace is window, workspace, essentials, and if for some reason yours looks weird, you can, and it doesn't look like mine, you can always reset the essentials. So window, workspace, reset essentials. Right there, and then it should look like so. Okay, so we've got our Essentials workspace, which is pretty good, but also we in Photoshop are gonna use a lot of layers. So I'm actually gonna close this panel here where it says Properties, Adjustments, Libraries. I'm gonna go to all these little lines right here, and I'm gonna close this menu. So I'm gonna say close tab group. And I'll just leave this up for a moment so you can see where it is. Close tab group. All right, and once you hit that close tab group, your workspace should look like this, which is good because we want lots of room for layers. All right, so we're gonna hop over to Google, and this practice is just gonna be practice copying and pasting things in, because you're gonna be doing that a lot in Photoshop, and just like working with layers, rearranging them, and just kind of moving stuff around. So I'm gonna go grab a Google, open up Google, and I'm gonna look for this 10 things. I'll let you, do you wanna just do like 10 things about you, or do you wanna do like 10 foods, or I don't really care. You're gonna put 10 things on here. So I'm gonna, so that way I'm not sitting and trying to think forever. I'm gonna put 10 just like things I like. So I'm gonna put boba tea first. I'm gonna think about the things that I put in my virtual space, my room, and I'll just use them. So I'm gonna fill this room with 10 things. I'm sorry, this sheet of paper. All right, so I'm gonna find my image that I want. When you're looking for images in Google, you're always going to select Tools, Size, and Large. And again, that's Tools. So I'm gonna click Tools, Size, and I'm gonna choose Large, because then we're more likely to get high resolution images. So I'm gonna find my first image that I want, and ooh, I like this. This looks yummy. This one looks yummy too. I'm not gonna spend too long. I'm just gonna grab this boba tea. So I'm gonna click on the image, and I'm not downloading the little image here, because this is just a low-res preview. So everybody look up here real quick. You're not gonna just right-click from here, because this is a low-res preview. Okay, I'm gonna click on the image and I'm gonna copy it from over here on the right. So I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say copy image right there. And then I'm going to, in Photoshop, hit Control V to paste it. Control V is paste. And I'm gonna show you, I can also hit edit, paste right here. So there's two ways to do it, but we're gonna use the shortcut keys because we're shortcut key people, right? So you could go edit, paste, but I'm gonna use Control V because we know Control C to copy, Control V to paste. All right, and you'll notice over here on the right-hand side what has happened. I have created a new layer. So I have a piece of paper in the background, and then I have a boba tea on what says layer 1. All right, if you want to undo something, you're gonna say Control Z. So I'm gonna undo it. You don't need to do this, but I just want to show again how to copy and paste it for anyone that needs to. So I'm right click, copy image, move this out of the way, paste it, Control V, Control V, there we go. And there is my boba tea, and you see it's created a new layer. All right, I'm gonna go get a second image of something I like, and I'm just gonna put the Weezer album, Blue Album, because this is something else I like. I included it in my room. So I'm again searching for Tools, Size, Large. Okay, I'm gonna find this one looks good. I'm loading it, and I'm right click, copy image. I'm gonna go to Photoshop, and then I'm gonna paste it in, and that's Control V is paste. So Control V is paste. All right, and there we go. I've created another layer. Okay, so I now have background, I have layer 1, and I have layer 2. But you'll notice my layers, they're like on top of each other. My image here is hiding the image here, but I want to start moving stuff around. So I'm going to use, there's two ways to move things around. I can either use the move tool, which at the very top tool, it looks like these, like a little cross of arrows up at the top. That is my move tool. The shortcut key is V on your keyboard, V like Victor. So if I click V, I can now move this layer, pick it up and move it. So I'm just like gonna click and move it around. So try moving your layer somewhere else. Okay, and I wanna move my boba tea now. So I'm gonna click and it's actually selecting this layer because I have auto select on. Okay, if you're trying to move and it's not selecting that layer, then just make sure that auto select is on. And you can see if I look over here in my little preview, okay, there's my 2 layers and it's giving me like a little preview. I've moved my Weezer over into the top right, and in my little preview on my layer, it's also there in the top right. And my boba tea, I moved it down to the bottom left, and there it is in my preview in the bottom left. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get another image. So I like succulents, the plant, so I'm gonna add that. Ooh, this one's nice and pretty. I like this. Let me make sure I'm getting a high res thing. Tool size, large. Ooh, these look so cute. Actually, I'm gonna do this one. So I'm gonna right click, copy image. And I'm just grabbing the first image I see so that way this demo doesn't take forever. But you can take your time. All right, and there's another, and I'm on the move tool so I can just go ahead and move this around. All right, I'm already starting to run out of space. I'm gonna need to put 10 things in here, right? So pause looking for images and just take a look up here real quick because I wanna show you how to resize images. So my succulents, those are pretty small, right? But my Weezer, that's pretty big. That's taking up like a quarter of my page. So I'm gonna shrink that down. Same thing with my boba tea. So to do that, I'm gonna use what's called the free transform tool. So I'm gonna click on my Weezer to make sure that this layer is selected. Okay, I'm clicking on that layer and I'm gonna go up to edit and I'm looking for free transform. And again, I'm a shortcut person, so it's Control T. I never use this menu up here. I just push Control T. But I'm gonna show you where it is in case you wanna know, and also for the video. Control T. So when I hit Control T, all these little squares are gonna pop up on my edges, and I can just drag, click and drag, and I can make my object smaller and bigger. So I'm gonna make this smaller because remember, I need to fit 10 objects on here. And I'm ready to make the next thing smaller. Oh no, it's not letting me click anywhere. I need to confirm for Photoshop that I definitely wanna change this object. So there's 2 ways to do that. I can either hit this checkbox up top. So everybody pause and look up here. So once you've sized it how you want, you can hit the checkbox up top, or you can push the enter key on your keyboard. And now those little 4 things have gone away, and I can move and I can change my next thing. So now I'm gonna take my boba tea, I'm gonna Control T it, and again, that's edit free transform. And I'm going to resize this one down and make that smaller because I need to fill this space with my 10 things. Okay, so this is just copy and paste practice and Control T practice because these are things that you're gonna need to know all the time. And then just getting used to layers and the layer previews. So you're gonna fill your piece of paper now with 10 objects, at least 10. You can do more if you'd like. Okay, but at least 10 objects. Okay, so I've started working and I'm putting all my my things on, and I thought I was resizing everything small enough, but I'm counting up and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not gonna be able to fit 10 things on here, right? And I don't wanna individually resize. So if you want to, there's a little shortcut to resize everything, all of your layers at once. So what I can do is I can click layer 1, that's my bottom layer, and then I'm gonna hold Shift, and I can click my top layer, and all of my layers are now selected, and I can Control T, I can edit, free transform, all of my layers at once, and they will stay in proportion to one another. So if you have been resizing, like I thought I made everything small enough, but I really didn't, I can resize them all at once. So I'm gonna show you again how to do that. So I'm clicking my bottom layer, I'm holding Shift on my keyboard, Shift, the Shift key. Clicking again, and then I'm going to say Control T, edit, free transform, which is Control T. And now I can resize all of them. I can make them all bigger, and then I can Control T and make them all smaller. So if you thought you were resizing everything small enough to fit all 10, but then you didn't, this will save you from going back and individually resizing. Of course, I can still go back and individually resize. So if I want to make my nachos even bigger, Control T, and there we go. Now my nachos are even bigger. And maybe I really want to make the Met. You can't see the Met, so I'm going to make that bigger as well. And all of your objects don't need to be the same size. You just need to fit 10 layers on here. Okay, so now at this point, I've done my I filled my space with all of my objects. I've got at least 10 things here. You can have more or less. So I'm going to go ahead and just save my document now. So we're going to save it 2 times. We're always going to save 2 times. So once as a Photoshop and then once as a JPEG. So hopefully you've already set up your G drive. If not, I'll have a separate video on how to set up the G drive. But you're going to say File, Save As. And you'll probably the first time get this dialog box. You can click this Don't Show Again. I'm not going to because I need to show all my students. So I'm going to click Save on my computer. And now you're going to look in this PC. You should have already set up your Google Drive. So you're going to save on your Google Drive. Okay, you're going to go to My Drive. And you're making a folder if you haven't already. I have one right here that says Digital Art. So I'm going to click on that. And we're going to, you might have a folder in here that says first quarter or what. You don't need to change the name unless you don't have a name there. But we already named our document in the beginning. So 10 Things Sampler, Miss Drian, looks good. We're making sure that it says Photoshop. And then you're going to hit Save. And I actually already saved it earlier. So it's asking me if I want to replace it. Yes. For you, if it's your first time saving, it won't ask you that. Maximize compatibility, yes. So I'm going to say OK. And then the second save is going to be as a JPEG. And this one, I actually have to say Save a Copy, which makes sense because we're saving a copy. So I'm going to say File, under Save As. I'm looking for this one that says Save a Copy. And again, I'm saving it on my computer, on my G drive. So I'm going to go back there to my G drive, my drive. Hopefully it will just pop up for you. And I'm saving the type. I'm changing it to JPEG. Right there, JPEG. And I'm going to say Save. This box is going to come up. It's probably going to be by default set kind of low. You want to drag this all the way up. Make sure that it's on maximum. You don't need to change any of these bottom settings. Just make sure it says large file and says OK. And that is it for your 10 Things Sampler. And I will create a spot on on Schoology for you to turn it in.